All right. Hi, everybody. It's live on a Sunday night with Casey and Kevin here in the In-Ring Wrestling Podcast. Tonight, the mystery box will open.
Yes.
It will be a surprise to both of us which direction we go in and what topics we broach this evening. Because Casey was away. He was traveling this weekend, and I was holed up in my bedroom dealing with personal issues.
Oh, geez.
It's been a struggle, Case. I'm telling you. But it's great to see you, my man. Tell everybody where
We're
you
here,
went.
though.
I love the picture. I love the picture you put.
Oh. Yeah, that's with my little mini-me, my daughter, Izzy. I went up to, it was Parents' Weekend at Georgia Southern, or Family Weekend. And
Yep.
so we went up there and hung out for a couple days with Izzy up there at her apartment on campus, went and seen the school, did some thrifting, this and that, things that she likes to do and my girl likes to do. So we went up there and she's still um, settling in the apartment and all that. So we brought, every time we're out, we see something, we think of her, we grab it. So we're had a carload of stuff there, and empty on the way back with the dog. And because Bella, she made her run in a couple weeks ago. She goes everywhere with us. So we went up there and had a couple days of Izzy. So it was good. She's doing great in college. She's a junior at Georgia Southern.
Wow.
So she said this year they had 7,000 incoming freshmen.
Man, that is a big school for a
I
small
think they're up to
school.
around close to 30,000 now. So it's not the biggest Division I, but it's a big school.
Yeah.
For a little town. But we had a good time, and we got back here about an hour and a half ago, and we're right back at it.
So we were talking yesterday, just Casey texted, because last week I was in no shape to go, and I'll talk about it because I got to start talking about this thing. And I realize now why you asked me, because if we're not going to do a show tonight, then there's no reason for you to race back or whatever. So I do appreciate the fact that you raced back and that we're able to do the show tonight as normal.
Absolutely.
It's a good thing to do. And
yeah,
I've had this mental struggle that I've been going through for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
And have been on a variety of different medications, and most of the time everything is good, but just over the last probably like 6 months, it has been much more this. And I'm sure that there are people who have gone through it as well. And
sure.
So I'm feeling great 1 hour, and then the next hour it's like doom and gloom and everything is shit, and there's not much middle ground. And so I was in one of my valleys last week when I was like, hey, I can't do this. Been going to therapy, new therapist, and kind of new ideas. If anybody through their employer has Spring Health as a benefit, it's really good.
Really?
It is, and again, it's local therapists, local doctors, local everything, but wherever you are, they are, and they check on you, and they have people above, like the therapist and above the psychiatrist, who check in. So it's been helpful, and it's been really good. So it's just been, it's just been like, well, what am I supposed to do? That's kind of where I've felt in my life over the last few years. And it was really bad when I was in AEW. And that was one of the things that, they preach mental health all the time. And there are mental health, physical counseling, mental counseling. They have all these services there. And I was telling their people I'm going through this, and then I have a meltdown and they fire me. And it's like, I'm having a breakdown. You guys don't understand. Well, anyway.
Well, it sounds like that's sort of like having sick days. You're going to have all these sick days, but you try to use the sick day. They give you like all kinds of slack over it and everything.
Yeah, exactly. It's a benefit, but you're not supposed to use it. And but it doesn't diminish the good work that the people in AEW do,
Right.
because from the physical therapists and the trainers and the doctors and everybody that's on staff and on the counseling side, all of those people are great and super
So
helpful.
all you AEW fans and world, universe or whatever they call their people. So you
Weirdos.
hear
No,
Kevin
what do they
Kelly
call them?
saying
Yeah, go
marks.
ahead.
Oh no. Uh, Kevin Kelly's not all about down in AEW. He's bitter, he's this, that. No. People go through things in life, and just because you're not with the company no more or whatever doesn't mean they have to be old and bitter or whatnot. It's just things happen.
Yeah,
Life is life. So so all those people that are that because they love to attack you on TikTok at times. So but
oh, they
of
do.
course. Well, yeah, they attack me too. So, but it's all good. But the
Oh, that's fine. Oh,
majority of
just
the
just wait till after tonight, because I'm fueled up. Just you wait.
All right. I am ready. See, this is my therapy. Every Sunday
Yes.
night I get on here for about an hour or so, because mine is different. Um I'm not like that. I'm good. I'm just kind of, but my thing is it's for my cognitive health, for my brain and stuff like that. This helps me because I have been hit in my head quite a few times, been concussed. I know at least 11 times. So if that means 11 that I know of, I probably had 20 of them. So I probably
Yeah.
got some brain damage. But this helps me break all the cobwebs up, keep things going, and it's therapeutic for me too. So it works out good for both of us, hopefully, and
Yeah.
everyone
And
else that's listening.
and it's interesting because there are some weeks, Casey, that you are better,
Yeah,
sharper,
right,
more quick to remember details than
right,
others.
right.
So it's
Oh, I
a
know those. I know how those are. I'm like, ooh, that was a rough one tonight, trying to get even certain words out. You
yeah.
know,
And again, it's a luckily I was never hit in the head. Um and I was there and sober minded for just about all of it. So I kind of remember,
right,
pretty much everything. Um, it's funny. My friend, you may know him, you may not. He's in TNA now. He's doing great. He's with one half of the Good Hands. He's doing a thing with Mustafa Ali, John Schuyler.
okay,
So John Schuyler is a great wrestler and a better friend. He's fantastic. What a good dude. Um, and he will bring up things that I don't remember, like you know specific matches on episodes of Raw, because
right,
he'll go back and he's rewatching stuff,
okay,
and he's in his mid 30s now, but so he was still like in high school or whatever when I was in
right.
WWE.
Yeah, he was a kid.
Yeah, and he's like, "Well, what about this with Ahmed Johnson?" And I'm like, "I don't
Ooh,
remember that. I don't remember that at all."
right,
Yeah, you did an interview with him or something beforehand. I'm like, "Really? I did? I don't remember that." But then
right,
there's like little microscopic details of certain episodes and certain moments in time where I could tell you exactly where, not just the building, town, where I was
right.
sitting, who was around, what we did, what I
Wow.
wore. It's like it's granular detail at some points. It's just funny how the brain works.
I'll give you an example. I was doing some
Yeah.
stuff for one of the shorts, and I was looking up some stuff and just a little research and stuff like that. And I'm watching a video, and I'm like, it was a pull apart with Haku in WCW. And I'm like, oh shit, that's
Okay.
me. And then I'm watching a little bit later, and I'm like, oh shit, that's a pull apart with Sid and Hogan, and I was in it right next to Hulk the whole time. And I'm like, I don't even remember doing that. I didn't remember it. I remember doing
Jeez.
something in the back with Sid, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember being out there. And it's at the Orlando Arena back in the day. It was a Thunder taping, and I wrestled the first match. Myself and a guy, which he swears he doesn't remember it. A guy named Rick Thames from when the Southern Posse
Of
from
course.
Tampa, and we
Yep.
wrestled for the WCW World Tag Team Championship against Ron and Don Harris, and I
Almost
don't
won.
think we won. I don't believe so. But
It was close.
yeah, that's that night I was telling you that. Ron and Don was like, "Oh my God, I gotta, we gotta talk to the agents about you, man." This was because everything was like, when you're on everything, you're right there for everything. It's like
Mm-hmm.
just smooth as butter. Everything was like perfect. I'm doing the job and everything, which is cool. I didn't give a shit. And I was making, it was, that's a $500 payday that night. I was like, oh hell yeah. And that's the night I was telling you that Sullivan got fired and
Right.
Graham got fired or something. I think they sent Bischoff home and all that. I'm like, oh, here we go. And I was like, everything was like in order. Everything was like from my look, my body, everything was just clicking on all cylinders. So that's what I try to tell people all the time. It doesn't matter what you look like, how good you are, or anything, because
Mm-hmm.
it's like the right place, the right time. And that's so true because I mean, my wrestling ability was as good as anyone out there. I looked good. I was in shape. I was tan. I had good gear. From A to Z, I had it all going on, but it just wasn't meant to be that time. So, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So it's like I say all the time, be in the right place at the right time. But yeah, going back to what you're saying, I didn't remember.
Hello, Scott.
Oh,
Can you see that?
yes, I can.
Yeah, I pop up these little chat messages.
Yeah, there last time we were live, we had quite a few going on. It was like I looked at it afterwards. I printed it out. I'm like, holy smokes! There's like,
Yeah.
and it's weird. There's from people from all over the different points of the world that are talking about it. It's
Right.
just not in the U.S. So it's
No, we. So Scott, I think is
it's growing
at least he
little by
wrestled
little.
in. He's originally from New England. I'm not sure if he still lives up there. We've had, of course,
Oh, that's
Stephen,
right. We
who's in
talked about him.
Portugal.
Right,
Stephen from Portugal, and then our friend Joe
Southern Joe,
from Southern Joe from
Australia.
Australia.
Yeah,
So yeah, we get people from everywhere, and it's funny because you would think with a fresh set of eyes, because that was the end of the first Bischoff run, and in
right.
came Vince Russo. You would think, okay, good, but at the same time, everybody that knew you and relied on you to get things done.
Yeah,
We need a good match out of so and so. Let's put Casey with them. Let's have
right.
Casey involved in this pull apart. Let's have Casey make sure that this happens. Now all of a sudden it's a new regime.
Yeah,
And in your case, you went from a crew of people that you knew, that you were friends with, that came from the wrestling business,
right.
to Vince Russo, who at that time was anything but the wrestling business the way
Oh,
it
yeah,
had been. And sometimes a fresh set of eyes is good, but in your case, I would guess that it wasn't, because anybody that was associated with the former regime was probably
right.
swept out the
Yeah,
door.
what was weird is because I wasn't doing a lot at this time. They just happened to be in Florida, so I
Mm-hmm.
said, you know what, I'm gonna just cruise up there, and I figured I'd go to the show, get free food, cater, and see the boys, stuff like that. Just pop in. And I don't know about now, but back then, if you went to a building, you look like you knew if you had a confidence, it looked like you belong. No one questioned you. So you walked
Right.
in, and I was walking down the hallway, and David Penzer was like, um, I seen Penzer, and then I was walking, and he's like, he tells Kevin Sullivan, he's like, hey, Casey's here tonight. He's like, oh, and Kevin can walk on. He's like, hey, baby, I'll talk to you later. I'm like, all right. He was the booker, so he's going all over the place. So I went to catering and ate and everything, and Penzer's like, hey, you're working first match. I'm like, okay. He said, get your stuff? I said, of course. Number one
Yeah.
rule of wrestling, always have your gear. If you're an
Now,
active
number
wrestler.
one, let me ask you about number one rule: always have your gear.
Sure.
If you're not booked, do you leave your gear in the car until you're booked, or do
I
you
always
walk
did.
in with your
No.
bag like normal?
No, I always left mine in there, you know. Um, there's nothing worse than walking in like you're supposed to be there, but you're not part of it, and
Yeah.
then you're like, ah. get out or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, I went in there. I knew enough people that I wasn't worried about it. So that was that night I wrestled, and then I was in a couple pull aparts, and I didn't even know I was there when Tank Abbott was there. You know, so
Jeez.
and the
I
pull
would have
apart
thought
was
you would
with
have
Tank Abbott and Haku or Ming there, and I didn't even
try not to
realize
get
it.
any. Yeah, don't get any blood on you, right? That's goal. I got my nice clothes on.
Yeah,
That's
so but it was
that.
yeah, it was crazy. I mean, so when I'm doing stuff for the show, I look at a lot of stuff, look at old stuff, and I'm running across things doing like, oh, I forgot about that. You know, so it's I ran across an old match from I think it was Mid Atlantic of Bugsy McGraw against a very young Jerry Gray doing the job for
Okay,
Bugsy. And I was like, "Oh wow, this was really cool." So I text it and send it to Bugsy, and he's like, "Oh wow, that was what 83, 87." I see 83. He's like, "Oh man, wow." You know, so it was I had to take it, and I didn't just send him the link. I actually did a screen record where he could just press play from the text message. You know, because
good.
80 years old, probably not as technical, you know, as everyone else.
Make it easy on him. And
Yeah.
this is we've heard this before. Scott says I'd never heard of Casey before the podcast. I've started to study your work, sir.
Oh,
So if you weren't again, that's one of the things when you start when you're introduced and you're currently in ring,
yeah.
it's hard to get noticed. And you worked under a variety of names in
Sure.
a variety of
Yeah.
companies, different circumstances,
Yeah.
and it's always it's unique. But again, your body of work is out there, and if people want to
Yeah.
study, just look up Casey Thompson,
Oh,
and you'll see
Google
that he
Casey
was
Thompson WCW, and there's hundreds of pages. Every once in a while, I
yeah,
look it up, and I'm like, "Holy shit, this is crazy!" You know.
yeah, and
So
you'll see the good work that he did. Plus, you'll see some of his other uh you know matches where he was at working as an independent
yeah.
and was traveling all across the Southland,
Yeah.
plying his wares in some unique uh, postal codes, as they would say overseas. The So you've done your fair share of research and looking back in time, and I was thinking back and because I have to talk about it, Casey. I don't know how you feel. I have to talk about it. The whole thing that happened with Charlie Kirk this week
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
like
That was
and
crazy.
it so it's we're not going to get like super political here. In fact, just the opposite.
Right.
Um, but the feeling that I had that I was sad for what happened. And
Right.
I listened to Charlie Kirk. I've listened to his podcast. I consumed a lot of his product, as they say.
Yeah.
Um, his thoughts and my thoughts are similar on a lot of issues. Both Christians
Right.
and both feel that America is great, not without
Right.
flaws, but the
Of
greatest,
course.
most charitable nation that's ever been created. Anyway, the feeling that I got was very similar to when Owen Hart died,
Oh yeah.
because it was a guy in Charlie Kirk that most people, a lot of people, really loved.
Right.
And there was a big, well, why does this have to happen?
Yeah.
Which then opens up a whole other range of conversation about faith and God's plan, etc.
Right.
But I remember those conversations that next day after Owen passed away, Kansas City. And then we drive to St. Louis and we do Raw the next day.
Yeah.
And again, it was like the whole day just had that, of course, hanging over us. It was just there. You couldn't escape it, not for a second. And it was like, and a lot of the questions were why? Why did this have to happen? Not the
Yeah.
physical, as we learned later on, he wanted to not wear the safety harness because it would take too long to get out of it. And so he
Right.
just had the carabiner hooked and was going to be loaded down. Some of the feathers from the costume got hooked and he pulled them out. And that's when anyway, but the
Mm.
question of why, and we don't know the
Yeah.
why,
Right.
and we don't know the when.
Yeah. And that's the
We,
crazy thing. You know.
Just have to be
Not
prepared
knowing.
for it.
Right.
You got to be right. And if you're a believer, you're right with the Lord, anything happens. And if you believe
Right.
that everything ends when you die, then that's what you believe as well.
Right.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I'm hoping I'm right.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, so what do? You just live your life and you plan and prepare as best you can. You do best as you can with your friends and your coworkers and your family. You do the
Right.
best job that you can, and you let the chips fall where they may. But a lot of that similar feeling this week with Charlie Kirk was the same thing with Owen Hart and the
Yeah.
big question of why.
The crazy thing about Owen Hart was I was listening to, and this is it will equate to it. I was listening to The Undertaker, a little bit of his podcast he had with Kurt Angle, and
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "Yeah, I actually wrestled Owen a couple like the Monday before he died, because that Monday, I think it was the Monday, because you had me booked on the show for WWF in Orlando as an
Mm-hmm.
extra, because I remember you introduced me to Kurt Angle because Kurt was doing all dark matches with Owen and stuff like that, and they
Yep.
wrestled that night. You introduced me and Cliff, my partner, to Kurt, because you like, hey, he's just new with the company, and this stuff, and that was must have been a Monday or a Tuesday back then, because I went that Friday, a couple days later, I went over to flew over to wrestle in Peru, and that's when that Sunday we got the news that we were coming back from um, uh, Huancayo, Peru, back to
Mm-hmm.
Lima on a bus ride. We heard about it,
Wow.
but for when Kurt to say that in his podcast, I'm like, I remember that day because I was there. Because I'm like,
You were
oh,
there.
Kevin introduced me to him.
See, now that's one of those areas where the cognitive fog starts to lift
Yeah,
off, and
yeah,
you remember specific details. Yeah, I mean, that was in May of 1999,
yeah,
and a lot of the news outlets just grabbed the feed from the satellite, and
right,
so they went from and the broadcast was earlier today. Kevin Kelly spoke to the Blue Blazer, and I go back and I'm playing it straight. I'm trying to like, well, Blue Blazer, you've got this big match coming up tonight with the Godfather. Blah 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 blah. Just to hear is nonsense. And I kind of rolled my eyes a couple of times as he says outrageous things, and then that's it. And then the shot was supposed to be Owen coming down slowly. And they say, well, that was earlier today, and you can hear, as you see the visual. And then I think he
right,
was going to get hung up. He was not going to go all the way to the floor or something like that. He was going to be like dangling for a few seconds, and then he was going to come down. It was going to be very funny.
right,
And of course, we know what happened. So all of the news feeds, the news stations reporting on the death of Owen Hart had the footage of the interview that I did with him just beforehand. And I
Oh
swear,
wow.
so it was me, Dr. Tom, and Mick Foley jumped in with us because Mick had been riding with Owen.
Yeah.
And so we're, it's a long ass ride from Kansas City to St. Louis. We stopped to eat. We were telling Owen stories, trying to laugh and joke as much as we could.
Right.
Finally get to St. Louis. I get into my room. I call my wife, and I turn on the TV in the hotel. And the first thing that I see is me and Owen standing there doing our interview from earlier in the
Oh
day. It's
wow.
like,
Yeah.
man, oh man.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things. And I can pretty much remember a lot of faces, and I remember a lot of voices. And I remember like our producer, Terry Filippetti, who was great. She was one of the backstage producers, and she's running around frantic as usual, but now with a heightened sense of, oh my God, what are we doing?
Right.
And we're all trying not to cry. We're all trying not to break down, but because we didn't know he was dead. Why did Vince
Right.
continue the show? Well,
Yeah. Well,
because we didn't know.
what's your feeling on that? You think it should have stopped, or
No, I think they just went
you
on with
think
it
Vince
just to
did the right
finish
thing?
it. Yeah, just to finish it. let's just get this done and go home and get
Right.
done with this. And
And of course, everyone's going to flip it around, change it that Vince
yeah,
was money hungry, didn't want to refund people, and all the kinds of stuff like that,
I think at that point Vince was completely fine financially, and
Have you seen Vince is getting, I don't know if you want to say he's getting some good publicity. People are like, Vince structured the ticketing for families
well,
always.
that's the other
Now
thing I
that
was going to.
TKO,
Yeah, brother.
they're jacking the prices up.
Well, of course, for the first time in WrestleMania history, WrestleMania is going to take place outside the United States, and it's not going to take place in London, as had been rumored. Seemingly every year, the London rumor starts, but no, it's going to Saudi Arabia because they're paying for it.
Wow.
And
Does that mean people can buy tickets to go, or are they just sold out already? I wonder.
I would imagine that people could go. They want the tourism. If you look at the backdrop for the announcement that Joe Tessitore and The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels they did, it was for Riyadh tourism. So they want to sell travel packages. They want to open up the doors to the West and the Far East and have people come. Brother, I wouldn't let some of these people. I'm surprised that some of these people get on planes, let alone fly to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. They'll wind up getting beheaded. Some of these fans, the way they act.
I wonder if the green shirt guy is going to be there. You've
Green
seen
shirt
him,
guy
right?
will be everywhere, I'm sure.
People, just everything about him is crazy. People are like, he must be rich. He must be at least a millionaire to be able to be at all these events. Ringside. He paid $100,000 for his WrestleMania moment to be able to go down to, all that kind of stuff, that package or whatever. It's
We used to always say that he was a either a trust fund baby or he had somebody rich in his life who passed away and left him a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I never really paid attention to him very much because he's
was
just
he
one
there
of
back then?
I didn't think he was around WWF back then. There were a few fans. There was one who looked like Howard Stern, and then there was, and I can't remember
the tie-dye
his name.
guy.
Tie-dye guy was an ECW guy.
He was WCW. After that, he did WCW and W. He lives in South.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking. Yes. No. He was a WCW fan. He was from Florida.
Yeah. He's Fort Lauderdale.
And this is pretty cool. How about this? This is from Mike Hawks Long. It's about me. How about that? One of my favorite announcers, Kevin Kelly. How about that?
There you go.
Nice. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you. Hey, I got a ballot from. We'll talk more about WrestleMania. We'll talk more about that because I did want to bring that up as well.
Okay.
But I got a Hall of Fame ballot from the. I get it every year for the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame, and
really?
I want to go through some of the names. I'll tell you who I voted for. I kind of vote for the same people every year.
Right.
But I wanted to get your thoughts on this so that you can we could do our own one from the show. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a ton of people that are listed on this ballot. You could vote for, and it depends on the type of wrestling that you follow. The way Dave structures the ballot, I followed the historical performers era. I followed the modern performers in the U.S. and Canada. I followed wrestling in Japan. I followed wrestling in Mexico, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Pacific Islands. And then there is a group of non-wrestlers. So I did not follow the wrestlers in Europe, nor did I follow the wrestlers in Mexico.
Right.
I am reticent to vote for Japan because they have some classic names on there. And
you know everything about Japan anyhow.
Well, I know about the modern stuff of Japan, and most of the modern guys have gotten in. But like if you wanted to vote for Takayama, you could vote for him. There'll be some sympathetic votes because he had a stroke, but nevertheless, does he belong in? Same with Hayabusa. And then there's a couple of tag teams, Kojima and Tenzan.
This is into the Meltzer. This is into the Observer Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So let's focus on the historical,
Okay.
okay? Because that's a lot of what we talk about. Now I'm going to run through I'll run through the names quickly, and then you can ask me about some specific ones. All right. So here's everybody that's listed that you could vote for in the historical performers era of the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame. Ole Anderson,
Okay.
Afa and Sika, the Wild Samoans, Bob Armstrong, the tag team of Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson, the British Bulldog, June Byers, Wild Bull Curry, the Junkyard Dog, Cowboy Bob Ellis, Pampero Firpo, Black Gordman and Great Goliath, the Stomper, Archie Goldie, the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Sputnik Monroe, the tag team of Dusty Rhodes and Dick Murdoch, the Texas Outlaws, the Iron Sheik, Sweet Daddy Siki, Steamboat and Jay Youngblood.
Oh yeah.
Mad Dog and Butcher Vachon, and then Kevin, Kerry, and David Von Erich.
Wow, that's a list, huh?
That is a list. So I'll tell you who I voted for, and I vote for them every year, and I'll tell you why I vote for them every year.
Oh, let me guess. Let me guess. I think it's going to be. It has to be a tag team because, you just kind of give away a little bit who I voted for.
Yeah.
Well,
you can vote for up to
Hart
6.
Foundation. Huh?
By the way, you can vote for up to 6.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's not 1. It's up to 6.
Does a tag team, the Hart Foundation, does that count as 1?
That's 1 because Bret Hart's already in.
I think your 6 would be Tully and Arn.
Okay.
Dusty and Murdoch.
Okay.
Hart Foundation. Okay, 3 more.
I can tell you you're 0 for 3.
Oh, okay. The Stomper.
I'll tell you.
Ben Justice.
Not Ben Justice. Archie Goldie.
Oh, I have pictures of the Stomp. I was thinking of Ben Justice because he wrestled in that territory with Cowboy Bob Ellis, the Stomper, Ben Justice. I have pictures of all of them from the 70s.
Yep. I vote for them every year. I vote for Ole Anderson.
Yeah.
Because
rightfully so.
Meltzer hated him, but not only was he a top draw throughout the 1970s, but he was also booker in Georgia and in the Carolinas simultaneously.
Yeah.
And main evented both.
Which are very, very big territories back in the day.
Yep. He
that
also
had a lot of
yeah. Now, it's also and one of the things that Meltzer writes here is what would be considered Hall of Fame worthy. And it is longevity should be a prime consideration rather than a hot 2 or 3 year run. That's what takes the Hart Foundation out. That's what takes Dusty and Murdoch out. And unless someone is so significant as a trendsetter or a historical figure to the business or valuable to the industry that they need to be included. However, longevity without being a long-term main eventer, top draw, or other top caliber in-ring performer should be seen as relatively meaningless. But obviously, when you look at somebody like, the criteria for the Hall of Fame is a combination of drawing power, being a great in-ring performer, or excelling in one's field of pro wrestling, as well as having a historical significance in a positive manner. Ole Anderson was part of the reason why everything happened with WCW, with the Monday night, or rather the switch of WWF to George's TV time slot, and all of the things that happened since then. Because the $1 million that Crockett paid Vince for the time slot was the money that he used as a seed to fund the first WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So obviously Ole Anderson for me is in that list, but just on his work alone, I put Ole in there. I
was good on the stick.
I thought he would. Yep.
He was a main eventer everywhere.
The turn of 1980. Go look that up on YouTube, kids. and watch that whole thing unfold and how it was this 18-month angle.
He was
And
the
it was
first
brilliantly
Rock.
done. He was the first Rock. That's why when you hear the Horseman, they call him Rock, because that's what his last name was, Rogowski. And I know Meltzer knows history. Okay, I got it. I know he's a goof. Okay, but he knows history. And this is his Hall of Fame, and I get to be a voter, and so there you go. I vote for Bob Armstrong every year.
You have to.
Main event guy, top draw, historically influential with 4 sons in the business.
Yeah.
And affected the business in a positive manner. I can't
Still
think of
to
too
this
much.
day.
Yeah.
Still to this day, he hasn't wrestled in. How long has he died? How long ago did he die? 20 years ago?
No. He died like 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh yeah, that's right. But
he wrestled into he had a match in his 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, but
he had one match
still
after
to
he
this
turned 80
day,
years old.
he is very, very well known in that. They'll say, "Oh, well, he is regional." Yeah, but he sold out. He was the top of every region when he went to. He was a main eventer.
Whether it was Memphis, whether it was Knoxville, whether it was all throughout the Pensacola territory.
Yeah.
Bob Armstrong was great. Bob Armstrong was great in Georgia. Then the other name that I always vote for is I always vote for the Junkyard Dog.
Oh.
And I think of the cultural, my next 2 people that I'm going to tell you I vote for every time are because of cultural significance.
Yeah.
What the Junkyard Dog did, I think, again, for what he represented for that time in that region.
Yeah, he was big money.
Yep. Think about,
big draw.
all of those poor inner city kids that looked up to JYD and that lived and died with everything that he did and everything that happened for him, him.
That was my brother's favorite, JYD. Sylvester.
Right, Sylvester Ritter. And when people saw him later on, when he was just the barking dog and, in WWF after he left in 1984, and, there you go. When you start to see, and that's all you saw, but man, when you heard his promos in Mid-South, brother, and that, the blinding angle with the Freebirds.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. And I think his cultural significance, too, goes back to high school, because he was involved in when the segregation movement was coming to an end, and was involved in North Carolina in his high school with, the walkouts and things like that. That's the time that he was in high school.
Yeah,
so he saw a lot.
Yeah.
And then the other one that I always vote for is Sputnik Monroe.
Yeah. So does Cornette.
And if you know the Sputnik Monroe story, you know that he was a very flawed man.
Right.
But he also was instrumental in bringing segregation of wrestling events to an end in the Ellis Auditorium in Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
And some people have said, "Oh, well, that was just because he wanted to make more money." I don't care.
Yeah.
Because he said, unless you open up all the seats to my black friends, I'm not going to wrestle here anymore.
Right.
And he hung around with the street people, to quote Jimmy Valiant, 20 years later. He got arrested for mopery a bunch of times. Mopery. And that's just being drunk on the street, just hanging out. Is he doing anything wrong? No, he could do something wrong. We're going to arrest him. And they called it mopery back then.
Now they call that loitering, right?
Yeah, loitering. Yeah. And then you get out. But I always vote for them. And they get enough votes to stay on the ballot, but they haven't gotten enough votes to get in yet. Okay. This year, Spiros Arion is on the chopping block. Because I think you only get so many years where you could be voted in. He was mostly significant in Australia, New Zealand. He had a run in WWF. He wrestled Bruno. and was a top heel. But again, I really didn't follow his career, so I don't feel strongly enough to vote for him. And I kind of skipped the modern guys. It's good to see FTR on the Hall of Fame ballot this year.
Oh wow!
The only one in the
Is there
modern
a lot
era, and
of
I'll give you
AEW guys in there?
there's a few. There's a few.
Is there
Here's the
any that
modern
you don't
performers.
think belong in it on the contention list?
I don't think Bill Dundee belongs in the modern performers category. I would put him in the historical category, but I'm not sure what the date is. Anyway, here's the modern performers: Mark and Jay Briscoe, Edge / Adam Copeland,
Mm-hmm.
Bill Dundee, FTR,
Okay,
Bill Goldberg, Samoa Joe, Matt and Jeff Hardy. Now, I would vote Matt and Jeff Hardy.
I would say Goldberg, and because
there's a bunch more.
Oh, okay.
There's more. Becky Lynch, Drew McIntyre,
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes Moné / Sasha Banks. I think this is her
She's
first
been
time on the
getting
ballot.
shit on lately, saying her work has really went bad.
I think she's great. I think she's
I'm
awesome.
just telling you what I read.
I know what the kids are saying. John Moxley.
I think basically they're referring to is that the women's division in AEW is not at the level of WWE. So because she's not wrestling the top, she's losing her edge a little. Is what I read into that.
And again, Stampede stuff as far as JYD. Yes, that was where he first became. Stu was the first one to make him out there. And how many black wrestlers did JYD inspire? How many athletes did JYD inspire? He was it as far as the big influential stars of that era, and was well regarded for that. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, Randy Orton, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Sabu, Trish Stratus, and Rick and Scott Steiner.
Wow. That's an interesting list.
Mark and Jay Briscoe I have voted for before.
Yeah.
And I didn't vote for them this year. Because
I think their work is I think the problem with some people might say is they really didn't draw anything. They didn't draw big money, real money. There'll be guys who back in the day, they say, I've heard like Budgie say, what kind of money has he ever drawn?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I can see that with them.
That's a fair point. Influential in terms of style, yes.
Yes, I agree with that, absolutely.
Where I would, if I'm refining my vote, and I drill down on this, you could vote for up to 6, but I only voted for Ole, Bob Armstrong, Stomper, Sputnik Monroe. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And in the modern guys, I didn't vote for anybody this year.
Can you vote for 6 out of? Can you put 2 in one category, 2 in the other category?
You can vote for as many people as you want, with 6 being the maximum in the historical, the modern. Japan, you can vote for up to 3. Mexico, up to 3. Up to 4 for the Europe, Australia, New Zealand folks. And then 7 in the non-wrestler category. And non-wrestler is where I want to go to next. As far as the modern guys, the only ones that I ever gravitate towards are Matt and Jeff Hardy, because the influence that they had on the industry in the time that they came in, I think they were almost revolutionary. And Cornette always talks about, his most influential tag teams of all time. The Road Warriors, the Rock and Roll Express, the Fabulous Freebirds, the who else? Who else is in that list?
Does he put his Midnight Express in there?
I think so, but I'm trying to think if there was 5. I can't remember them all. Anyway,
Right.
I put Matt and Jeff Hardy in that class because what they spawned became an entire, and it became like a joke, but because of their look and because of their presentation, they spawned an entire generation of followers into the wrestling industry, smaller guys
Right.
who had a different look and may have gotten their gear at Hot Topic, but nevertheless were, you know, in some regards influenced by Matt and Jeff Hardy, who stylistically put forth a brand of tag team wrestling with others
Right.
that had never been seen before.
They were one of the ones who broke the mold. I mean, back then it
Yeah.
was Vince had his cookie cutter mold, where
Right.
everyone was a 6'6", massive giant. So these guys are little guys for the business, really. So
Right.
yeah, I would think, me personally, I think Goldberg, Scott, and Hall and Kevin Nash, only
Yeah.
because, and they're all three of them are in that era together when they all, that spun the NWO, which totally changed the whole entire landscape of the business. It
Right.
just made it where that that turned into the Monday Night Wars, and Goldberg was a part of that, and everything. It was wrestling was on a rocket ship, and they went from small buildings to all big arenas and selling out everywhere, and they were a part of that. And Goldberg, he started a whole movement of wrestlers. I mean, I don't think his work would get him there because I think he was, you know, he looked good in a, you know, a, 2-minute match. Besides
Right.
that, wasn't that good. But yeah, those guys, I like the Steiners too because I think the Steiners really, I mean, there's so many great wrestlers that are deserving of a lot of stuff. But right before that time, I watched the match. I watched a whole entire. I found some stuff that had house shows, and there was a house show in Indiana. It was a WCW show, and they drew 138 people.
Oh my God.
Chris Benoit wrestled Eric Watts. The Harlem Heat
Oh.
was on it. Um, when the guys, Frankie Lancaster, who was on it
Oh my
against
gosh.
a Korean guy. It was a WCW show. 138 people, and not a couple years later,
Yeah.
25, 30,000 people.
They're
So
putting right. They're putting
yeah,
40,000 in the Georgia Dome. They were selling out every
right,
arena across the country. They forced Vince to change his business. So
yeah,
if you want to look at influence, then yes, I think Nash and Hall do deserve to be in. I would
right,
definitely put them in terms of that. The move that they made um, helped change the business from paid on what you drew
yeah.
to guaranteed money,
Guaranteed money. Yeah,
and helped shape the creative for WCW for the entire length of the Monday Night Wars.
right.
Um, and I want to credit Ryan here for his accurate analysis. Yes, time honored excellence did outdraw WCW in Indianapolis, and we didn't have that level of names. I do want to thank Ryan for that.
And you lost
And
less money than WCW did on that
I
show
did.
too.
They
Yeah,
lost 60 million in a year. I lost several thousand. But
just on that show in
no,
Indiana,
that was
you did better than they did.
brother. But when you
Yeah,
look at what
but
influence and a Hall of
you have to
Fame,
watch it. Google the WCW. I think it was in Homer, Indiana. You have to
oh my
Google it and
gosh,
see it. It's a whole entire show. It's and I don't know who the ring announcer was, a long blonde-haired guy in a long white shirt, and he's walking around the ring. But it was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. Yeah, it was. It was cool.
And I would
And
imagine,
another thing, I was watching, it was some house shows, and only because we were talking about calling it in the ring, it was
yeah,
Paul Orndorff was wrestling. It might have been Rick Rude or Paul Orndorff when he was calling it. This was a different house show. You can hear Orndorff calling the whole entire match. I was watching some old WCW house shows, and he was calling a match. Oh, it was Rick Rude wrestled Cactus Jack, but this was Paul Orndorff against. I'm losing it now, but you could hear him calling it all and everything right there. So it was pretty interesting.
that's funny. Because when you look at the way some guys protected the business, and then there were shows like this where it's like, does anybody have any ideas for a finish? Do you care? Does
Yeah.
anybody? It's like whatever. But I guarantee you that those 138 people had a good time. They had a lot of fun. All right, now let's go to the non-wrestlers, okay? Because we could
Okay.
spend some time on this, and I'll leave out some names, you know. But anyway, you can vote for up to 7 people in this category.
Okay.
Dave Brown, the old Memphis announcer. Zane
Yeah.
Bresloff, the WCW promoter. Bobby Bruns, who was influential in the business. Bob Caudle. Joe Higuchi. I'm not sure who Joe Higuchi is. I think he was a referee. And
Right.
anyway, Jim Johnston, the music guy from WWF. Larry
Oh,
Matuzik,
yeah.
who was Sam Muchnick's right-hand man in St. Louis.
Mhm.
Great historian of the business. James Melby, another name I'm not sure of. Bill Mercer, the world-class announcer.
Right.
Gorilla Monsoon, who's in the non-wrestler category, so that would be for his announcing work.
Right.
Rossi Ogawa, who was the Stardom. He was in charge of Stardom. Moving on. Reggie Parks. People
He's
are
got
going,
his fingertip on everything.
what did Reggie Parks do? Oh, I don't know. He just made every freaking belt that there was,
If
right?
it wasn't for Reggie Parks, all these collectors, none of that would have been. He took belts to a new level. It's yeah,
Everybody,
yeah.
I would say that he certainly created his own mold because he made belts differently than other people had made in previous.
Right.
Bigger, but not so monochromatic. There were some that just had a big plate and
Yeah.
sharp edges, but he made it look artistic, if you will,
Mhm.
and it was really fine work.
And they changed in the time too. They
Yep.
changed over time. My favorite's the territory days, the smaller, like the Florida title, the Southern title. Those are my favorite belts
And not
from
like
like
the
the
teeny
80s.
tiny belt that like Lou Thez wore,
Yeah.
the old world title. Because
Those are
that
like
to me
trophy
was like almost
belts.
like it looked like a big belt
Yeah.
buckle.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Reggie Parks,
Yeah.
obviously influential.
Sure.
Morris Siegel, who was the Houston promoter, the Houston booking office, Texas booking office, involved in all that. Tony Schiavone, who I voted for last year. George Scott, who was a wrestler, but in terms of this, he's because of his booking in Mid-Atlantic and probably
No,
WWF.
WWF, he booked everywhere.
Where else did he
He
book
created
besides
and
the
started a lot
Carolinas?
of guys.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I know that his influences as a booker changed Mid-Atlantic's business, changed Crockett's territory from a tag team territory to focusing on singles. And that's where, where you got Wahoo Valentine, and then Flair. Through Wahoo, you got Flair and Steamboat
Right.
and Greg Valentine. So those guys kind of all came from that same tree. Kevin Sullivan, who we mentioned before, ding, 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 and who I voted
Right.
for this year. How could you not put Kevin Sullivan in terms of his influence as
Right.
a booker in wrestling?
Yeah, I mean,
I just
he's one of the, you can name top 5 greatest minds ever in the business of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I
you
would
know,
agree with that.
not even the fact that he was a former business partner of mine.
Right, but notwithstanding,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I fought tooth and nail to try to get him in to help book Ring of Honor, because why wouldn't you want the greatest booker alive?
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I would want the greatest booker alive to come in and help the company that I work for.
Was
Excuse me.
Cornette there then?
No, Cornette left,
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
and Cornette wasn't booking anymore.
That's
Okay,
a
Mike Tenay.
Cornette's a weird fit for Ring of Honor, isn't it?
Eh, on the surface, you would say yes.
Right.
But if you saw Cornette in Ring of Honor, he loved and appreciated the modern style
Really?
because of the believability that, now, he didn't like everything about what the, what some guys did, but he loved the Briscoes.
Right. Oh yeah.
And as soon as Hassan Benjamin came available, I, of course, called Charlie right away.
Yeah.
As soon as his name was on the release list, I called him, and then I called Cornette. And I said, you can make this happen. I said, would you guys be interested? Yes. What about Shelton? Well, I have to talk to him, but I'm sure he would be. I said, I'm going to have Cornette call you. So he did, and the deal was done.
Right.
So he loved Davey Richards, and he loved Kyle O'Reilly, and he loved Adam Cole. He wasn't a fan of Colt Cabana. He didn't like Generico. He didn't like Steen. He appreciated Steen, but he didn't like him personally. But he booked him and always made sure he was in a top spot. But as far as what he was trying to present, athletic, physical, believable, he was moving in that direction.
Gotcha.
And appreciating the modern style. He loved Claudio. He loved the Kings of Wrestling.
Right.
How could you not? They were freaking awesome. Somebody wrote before about the Kings of Wrestling. Kings of Wrestling and the Briscoes got a lot of people back into interest in wrestling again, because those tag matches were great. Go back and watch the Ring of Honor match, and it was WrestleMania weekend in Atlanta on the first night, and we switched the tag belts, and Hassan Benjamin went over, and it was a Cornette finish. It was a beautiful finish. It was a beautiful match. It was physical. It was
I think the problem with Ring of Honor, I think they had everything. It was a great. It's has great stuff. Great guys came out of it, but they're so small compared to the landscape of wrestling. If they had the opportunity for bigger markets and bigger outlets and stuff like that, I think it could have really, back in those days when you're there and all that, it could have been really done a lot different for the business.
Well, we also thought that we were going to have a syndicated television with Sinclair when they bought it, but they didn't do syndicated television. They were not equipped. They just owned TV stations. Each station was independently operated. So they were like, hey, we need you to drop these, we were like, we need you to drop these commercials in. What? No, you satellite the show over and that's it. There's nobody here to put commercials in. What are you, crazy?
Oh, wow.
So we couldn't customize, and it was a whole big thing. Anyway, but no, because if you look back, there was a series of shows that were taped on HDNet, and it was just Kerry Silken, and Kerry only had so much money to spend. And then we thought we were going to get, able to get bigger, better athletes, more believable athletes, more money to spend, and we really didn't get any more money to spend. So everybody that we had was kind of transitory, and it's like in and out. So it didn't go as it could have. But Ring of Honor with Cornette would have been huge. And Kevin Sullivan, who was motivated and ready and available and very affordable, Joe and Greg didn't see the value in it. Why are we spending that money? I'm like, it's Kevin freaking Sullivan. And I'm talking to this wall over here,
Yeah.
Anyway, So Mike Tenay is another announcer that's in there. So 3 announcers: Dave Brown, Mike Tenay, Tony Schiavone, and Gordon and Gorilla Monsoon as an announcer. Then here's a name. Here, the next 3 names are worthy of conversation: Ted Turner, Jesse Ventura,
Sure.
and Roy Welch.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with the first. Let's start with Ted Turner. I vote for Ted Turner every year. How can you not?
Yeah. I mean,
not only was he the pioneer of cable television, which completely changed wrestling forever. Terry Funk said it was going to change wrestling before the change happened. Terry Funk, the ultimate, the smartest man ever, the greatest wrestler ever. He said 1981 or 2 that cable was going to end the territories because now we can't do things the way we used to do them. Ted Turner was pushing for that in the 70s. And that was his whole thing. He owned the opposition station when the Georgia Wars in 74 started, that they went from the one station to the other. Ann Gunkel, he may have been having relations with Ann Gunkel. I don't know. After Ray Gunkel died. But nevertheless, that was how he got his foot in the door in wrestling. And he was always a fan and always saw it as a great value to television, and used wrestling, Georgia Championship Wrestling, to grow TBS.
Yeah.
And turn Channel 17 from a local Atlanta station to the TBS of today.
Yeah.
And his money and his influence led to, of course, him buying WCW. And then all of the changes that happened in 96. So they bought it.
We were talking about.
They bought it in 89. And then in 96, Eric Bischoff finally convinced Ted to invest money into talent. They did.
Yeah.
Change the business forever. So to me, Ted Turner is a slam dunk, but I'm surprised he hasn't gotten in. I vote for him every year.
Yeah. Yeah, I would be surprised. How many years has he been on it?
As long as I've been getting the ballots.
Oh, really?
He's been in it.
It seems like a no-brainer. I mean, how many kids went to college because of Ted Turner off of what their parents were making? You know?
How many? Yeah. Did he help fund some of your life during that time?
Sure. I mean, I love getting my check every 2 weeks that has said Ted Turner on it.
Thank you, Ted.
The looks I got when I went to the bank, I mean, Ted Turner.
Yep.
You know? That was great.
Didn't in Ring of Honor, Ryan? Hold on a second. Did Gary Hart help with some booking in Ring of Honor? I know that he came in and did some shoot interviews, and probably Gabe picked his brain, but whether or not he was directly helping, I do not know. But that's a very good question, one I hadn't thought of before. Obviously, Gary Hart is in a class of himself. And then what about Jesse Ventura?
Well, I imagine it's being an announcer for one, and politics, being a governor. So he's taken wrestling into the mainstream by becoming a politician, governor of Minnesota. So I mean, and he's still back in wrestling again. So he's
he's interesting.
One of my 7 would go to Jesse.
You could vote Jesse in, and nobody I think would blink an eye.
And he's a hell of a storyteller too.
Oh yeah. He blames Hogan for everything, and he never did anything wrong. And then Roy Welch, who I vote for every year. Roy Welch was not on the ballot until a couple of years ago when Cornette and others began to petition for Roy Welch to be on it, and is responsible for every territory from Ohio to Florida and west to Texas. He set them all up, all out of the Nashville booking office. and this is going back into the 1930s.
Wow,
The patriarch, of course, of the Welch Fuller Golden family, and you talk about Ron and Robert Fuller and the Fields boys and everybody else. All of them were related to Roy Welch.
and that's the
And
that's the first bloodline of wrestling.
yes. And if you listen to Ron Fuller's podcast, you learn the history of the family where, Roy Welch was 9 years old and was left to stay out in the prairie by himself for 3 months to watch the cows at 9 years old.
Wow.
And trained with the original Dutch Mantel and was part of the oh gosh, I'm trying to remember the gentleman's name who was who had the Boys and Girls Ranch, that because that's where Eddie Graham came from.
Okay. Yeah.
Cal Farley.
Okay.
Cal Farley was the first one, and then Eddie Graham set his up in Florida, and
yeah,
that's so again, the influence and the reach of somebody like Roy Welch.
Sure.
Again, people, the history of wrestling being as it is. Some people know it, some people don't.
You think because people don't know the history of wrestling, that's why he's not voted in yet?
He wasn't even on the ballot until Cornette and Brian Last started petitioning him, and all of Cornette's listeners began to petition in. He wasn't.
How many of those people are? What makes you get a ballot?
I don't know. I think it's it's notoriety. It's within.
Does his subscribers get a ballot or no?
Oh, I don't know about that. I know I get one because I am an announcer and because but he doesn't publicize us. He, it's kind of like the Baseball Writers Association of America. They vote on the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Probably didn't get mine because I changed my address. Probably didn't update it, but it's all good.
Well, it's an electronic thing, and you know how electronics are these days. You never.
Yeah.
That's why you send the embedded clips to Bugsy.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, so I think that in terms of names and reach, I mean, there's a couple of modern names that I wanted to ask you about specifically, and whether or not you think they belong in the Hall of Fame. What about CM Punk, and what about Cody Rhodes?
A lot of people say that they shouldn't be in a Hall of Fame when they're still active.
Somebody said that earlier in the chat. Yes.
That's
there are a whole host of names every year, people that get voted into the Hall of Fame that are currently active.
Yeah, that's I know FTR's on it and stuff like that. I mean, man, that's tough. Are they worthy of Hall of Fames eventually? Yes, absolutely,
Yes,
without a doubt. But I mean, you take CM Punk, and you were there. Were you there before he was at AEW?
No.
Okay, so, but it seems like he was carrying. He was carrying the weight of the company on his shoulders for a while, I would say, because
After Cody's
ratings were
departure,
up and attendance
yes,
was up when he was there, because it drastically dropped when he left.
correct.
So I'm sure Tony Khan's really happy that he's still got Jungle Boy though.
Again, Tony felt he was afeared for his life, so he says. Again, I got hired because of CM Punk. That was the reason I got my job. Yes. Now, I don't know if CM Punk said, I want Kevin Kelly, or if CM Punk said, I want anybody calling my matches except that Excalibur.
Oh, he didn't like Excalibur.
No, because he's one of the Bucks boys.
Yeah.
He didn't like them. He didn't, and again, their history notwithstanding. So the only way that they could get Punk back on AEW TV is to create another show for him. And it was going to be separate but equal universes.
Right.
Never say the word roster split. Never say the word, on the Collision brand or whatever. But the talent that were featured on Collision were not featured on Wednesday's Dynamite, and vice versa.
How
And
many shows they have right now? 3 or 4?
they have Ring of Honor, they have Collision, and they have Dynamite. They
And they
don't,
have people sitting at home still that don't ever get on TV.
right? They don't have the Friday night show anymore, which I can't even remember the name of. But I know they do like quarterly Battle of the Belts. And then of course their pay-per-views.
Wow.
With when you look at what Cody did, so
Right.
Cody, of course, was and I've messaged Cody and he's thanked me for saying this. Nobody was able to replace what Cody did in AEW. He not
Behind the
only was
scenes?
everything.
Okay.
He not only was top talent and a fixture in the main event scene, he was also the goodwill ambassador, the spokesman. He was customer service. He did everything.
Oh, wow.
If somebody said on social media, I would love to go to AEW, but I don't know if the building is handicap accessible or whatever, don't worry about it. I'll make sure you get in. Or I can't afford tickets. Oh, I'll make sure you get in.
Oh, really?
And he bent over backwards to try to get people into the product and lived and died with that show. And of course was part of the foundation of, with the Bucks and with Kenny.
Right.
And Hangman Page and those 5 guys with Cody as well, and Brandy. Can't forget her influence. Eventually Cody kind of fell to the wayside. And the other group, Page aligned himself closer with the Bucks and with Kenny, and with Tony, they were able to push Cody out of the sphere of influence. But nobody has been able to replace him. They have not had a top guy who was like Cody Rhodes. CM Punk came back, filled the void, but got hurt, and that affected him. And then, of course, had the locker room fight. He's away all that time, comes back, new show. We draw 16,000 in the United Center the first night, sold out.
Wow.
And main event that first night, 6-man tag. Match holds up. Was awesome. Samoa Joe, Jay White, Juice Robinson against FTR and CM Punk. And they tore the house down.
And he picked guys he wanted there too?
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wow.
He did. He knew who he wanted and who he wanted to feature and why.
Wow.
Now it was up to Tony to make it happen. But
do you think someone like CM Punk is going to, after his days in the ring, that he's going to be somewhere and be in Pat Patterson of the wrestling industry?
It's a very good question. I've never spent enough time with Punk to know if he's a great finish man, if he can come up with a finish for a specific match, or if he is more on the big picture type of thing. I would see him more in the big picture realm, just from what I know. He might have an idea or two about a finish. He might see something in somebody that nobody else would see. But in terms of what the show is supposed to be, what it's supposed to be about, what the theme of it is, big picture stuff, completely. Absolutely.
It was going back to AEW when Cody was there. How was him and Dustin together there?
Well, I wasn't there when Cody was there.
Okay.
And Dustin was, I don't think Cody was a big fan. I don't think CM Punk was a big fan of Dustin.
Oh, really?
Being on the show. I don't think so. I know he didn't like QT Marshall because those two had a match together and Punk hated it. So I remember hearing that from him.
Oh, wow.
Just Dustin getting color, and it's like, what are you doing? If we're going to do something like that, we're going to make it a reason,
Right.
not just so it happens.
Oh, he's like his dad. The reason is I went to the ring.
Yeah, the bell ring.
Yeah.
It's so, but in
I'm
terms
just
of,
curious how they were together behind the scenes. You're saying Dustin. I mean, Cody was so involved, and is Dustin just like still the big kid he used to be back in the day? You know what I'm saying? Or is he like
well,
a
I
leader of
think
the locker
Dustin,
room?
he was, and he was definitely a leader of a locker room. I know he was the agent for the first Hangman Page Swerve Strickland match.
And they call
That
them coaches there, right?
Yeah, coaches. He was
Yeah, I
the
think
coach for
Billy
that
Gunn is a
match.
coach now, I believe.
Right, has been
He's just,
and still continues to
or
be.
no, he's head coach now. I'm sorry, he's the head
Is
coach.
he? Oh,
Yeah,
congratulations!
yeah.
Congrats to our friend. But there are other coaches like Jerry Lynn, like Dean Malenko, like
Oh, I got a
Christopher
text from Jerry
Daniels.
Lynn. He likes the "Stop the Chop" T-shirt ideal.
That's awesome. Stop the chop.
Yeah,
We have to cut Carino in though, because unfortunately, well, no, forget Carino. He's got enough money.
he's fine. He's fine.
He'll be fine.
Yeah,
Yeah. Who else? Ray Lloyd Glacier is now one of the coaches.
really.
Yeah.
You know, I there's few people in the business that I wonder how does he stay around. And I mean, Ray's a great guy. I
Mm-hmm.
know him. I was there all that with Glacier when he's Glacier and all. Great guy, but I always wondered how does he always just keep sticking around? Like he must have a friend that because his work wasn't like Hall of Fame worthy. His wrestling
Right.
career wasn't Hall of Fame worthy. He was a solid talent, but it's not like creatively he was like, oh my God, this guy knows the business. He understands the business. You know, he might understand the business, but I'm talking to the level of like the next, like we're talking about the next Pat Patterson or something like that.
Right.
So I wonder how he
Well,
stays around like that.
I don't think. Well, okay. So I know Ray is a very good trainer and
Hmm.
has trained a lot of guys in Georgia.
Okay,
He was also a high school coach, so he knows what it takes to work with and motivate athletes.
gotcha.
You don't, and again, you don't have to be a main eventer to be a great leader in a
Right.
locker room and organize and get matches together in the ring.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of the best guys in the business weren't necessarily main eventers, like Dr.
Sure.
Tom Pritchard, for example.
Right.
But obviously, history dictates that he's one of the best coaches of all time, one of the best producers of all time, all the
Yeah.
talent he's trained. So Dutch Mantel, another great producer, produced all the great women's matches in TNA, and all the stuff that they did in Memphis. So I think there's a lot of guys in that category of, well, he never drew big
10
money,
years of
so
Puerto
how does?
Rico.
Yeah, right, in Puerto Rico, of
Dutch. Yeah.
course. What does Ray Lloyd know about drawing money? Well, he may not be necessarily in that position because
Right.
there's 20 matches at a taping, and
Yeah.
one
I
person
always,
can't
when
do
I hear
everything.
that, when they say, "Oh, he's never drew money," yeah, and I agree with you that just because you haven't drawn money, doesn't mean you don't know how to draw money.
Correct.
Because if you're wrestling on let's say independent, and you're drawing with no names, you're drawing 1,000, 1,500 people. You obviously know what you're doing to get those people in there because there's big companies that have the wheels behind them pushing that. Wish they could have a house show with 1,500 people in it.
Sure. Absolutely. When you look with, and I think that here's a thought, and Ray's relationship with DDP, of course,
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think that kept his name relevant. I know he's good friends with Cody. I know he's good friends with QT Marshall. And,
Yeah.
that's one of the things. Scott Garland, Scotty Too Hottie is one of the coaches there. At least was.
Right.
I think he still might be. But in terms of knowing what to do and knowing how to be, I think they've got a pretty good array of coaches.
Sure.
And certainly the coaches had a lot of good ideas, and whether or not the talent was constricted.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we get them to listen? That's the other thing.
This is just an educated guess. I would say they're just doing what they want to do, and that's just a guess. But I know I'm right.
If they don't like what they're being told, more than one has gone to Tony Khan and has gotten their way.
Yeah.
So that's fact.
Yeah.
When you look at, a lot of times Vince was that way. Vince would play both sides.
Oh, yeah.
The agents were in the Heat.
Though.
Yeah, the Heat. They were the Heat. They were the Heat spot. Or they would be the ones to give the bad news. Right. And then if the talent wanted to go and complain to Vince, Vince would always put the whammy on them and get them to see things his way.
Right. Which he was a master of doing that, though.
Yeah. Psychology and could just look at you and talk to you, and all of a sudden the idea that you hated, now you're agreeing with and loving. Wait a minute, what? And it's the same thing, and Pat had the relationship with Vince where he could tell Vince no, that's a terrible idea and I'm not doing that. Right. But Pat also knew Bruce Pritchard, knows what Vince is going to go for and knows the mood that he's in that day and where he is mentally, what's going to fly. So there's art and skill to that. Sure. But yeah, and in terms of guys going to Tony and being able to, I found talking to Tony Khan to be like a fool's errand, because it just frustrated me that he didn't ever see things. Just an example. Eddie Kingston defending his trio of belts against Trent Beretta. Nobody thought Trent was going to win. So I said, let's start to talk about Eddie's next title defense, which is coming up in a New Japan show against Gabe Kidd. And he was like, no, I don't want to do that because it gives away the finish. And I said, nobody thinks Trent's going to win. It's the red herring. And he didn't understand what I was explaining to him, because as the match unfolds, as wrestling goes, and the challenger is sticking around longer than he thinks, and all of a sudden we might be seeing an upset here, and then Eddie Kingston catches him with the finisher 1, 2, 3. He survives.
So you're building that guy up in the process too.
Thank you. And I'm telling the story about, here I was already writing Kingston versus Gabe Kidd coming up next, and we nearly had an upset. Or I may need to change that and may need to put Beretta's name in there against Gabe Kidd, because look at what Beretta's doing. He didn't understand it. And as soon as he pushed back on me, I just shut down. I just said, no, it's fine. Whatever you want. And he was like, oh, it's okay. You could say. I said, don't worry about it. I'm not going to go there. Right. And I just, at that point, I was just like, I'm done.
Does Schiavone push back on anything, or he's just happy to be there and
happy to be there? Happy to be there. Rolls his eyes, says everything behind his back that he wouldn't say to his face, but
Did you vote for Tony in the Hall of Fame?
I did.
Okay.
I would put Tony Schiavone in there. I've hemmed and hawed about Dave Brown. Because Dave Brown was the sidekick to Lance Russell, who's in. And Monsoon.
The wrestling knew Lance Russell. Dave Brown, Memphis people knew.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Nobody goes out of their way to listen to the great Dave Brown calls, because he didn't have any.
Right.
But in terms of being able to help keep the boat going straight and following Lance's lead and being there as Lance's sidekick to help him,
right,
he made Lance Russell better.
Sure.
So which helped the program, which was his goal. And he kept the program on the air for a lot of years because he was still the weatherman at Channel 5. And as times changed and wrestling wasn't as popular, it was still, it was still on Channel 5, largely because of Dave Brown helping to make sure that it was. Another name, this is a good one. Candido would have been a great coach. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely would have been a great coach. So, okay, what do you think about the Hall of Fame ballot process? What do you like it? Do you think it's do you agree with some of those names? Are there anybody that's like, as I said, those names, you're like, what? Or do they seem pretty reasonable?
No, I think it's pretty reasonable. Because he has so many different categories that could fall in. I think it's a very interesting process. But I think it's pretty thorough.
Like some of the, like I don't know enough about these Mexico names. Angel Blanco and Dr. Wagner, Sangre Chicana, El Dandy, Dorrell Dixon. Dorrell Dixon, of course, I know, but I didn't know Dorrell Dixon had a Mexico run because I'd never followed.
Sounds like some really good restaurants, though. That's my extent of
How
knowing.
Dare you? Triple A La Parca, which I don't. There's a bunch of different La Parcas. Did you ever get hit with a chair by La Parca?
No. I've seen Will Parker duct taped to the chair before from the Steiners, but
oh no!
They tormented the Mexicans when they came in.
Oh,
they'd be duct taped and they'd get pushed around there, and when the chairs with wheels, they get pushed around the building everywhere. It was crazy.
So this year I voted for Ole Anderson, Bob Armstrong, Junkyard Dog, Sputnik Monroe, Archie Goldie, Ted Turner, Kevin Sullivan, and Roy Welch. That's who I voted for this year.
And I think I've wrestled some of those guys you voted for.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I wrestled the Bullet.
The Bullet. Man.
Yeah.
Wait, did you wrestle him as the Bullet with the mask?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I walked into the hotel, and this was for a show for Steve Armstrong, which I hear he's not doing really well either.
I know.
A lot of dementia and stuff like that, which is really sad because Steve was like one of the greatest guys ever in the business. Was just really, really cool. Steve and Scott and all the Armstrongs, Brad, everyone was really really cool. I walked into the hotel and they're all in there smizzing, the whole family. And he's like, "Oh man, Casey." He's like, so I got to find. I'm working him. He's like, "Hey, I've heard a lot about you. Just please don't hurt me." I'm like, "No, it's all good." I'm like, "Why don't we just start off slow and we can taper down from there?" And he's like, "Oh, that sounds good."
Tremendous.
So I got there and the ring was probably about 5 foot off the ground. And I'm like, "Holy shit! How is he going to get in this ring? Because I'm going to have a hard time." And we started off slow and really tapered down. Had a great match with not barely doing anything. The people wanted to kill me. He was the biggest thing ever in wrestling, and it was it was one of those things that it was really cool. There's not many guys that can say they've wrestled all the Armstrongs, so it's kind of cool that I was able to wrestle all of them.
That's really cool. When Bad to the Bone hit and the people went, "Wah!"
Wow.
Right?
A couple hundred people and blew that roof off the building there.
Damn right.
I wrestled Kevin Sullivan a lot. I wrestled Junkyard Dog. So it's it's fun. It's cool to sit back and reminisce and think about it. Like you're talking about guys that are, on a Hall of Fame thing that I've shared the same ring with. Some of the guys, Kevin Sullivan, I was a business partner with in a wrestling company.
Yeah.
So it's
it's amazing when And when I look back at all the people that I've worked with and,
Yeah.
how they all turned out and where they went to, whether I knew them when or whether I got to
Yeah.
work with them later in their careers.
Right.
I mean, it's a who's who. I mean, come on.
Sure.
It's incredible.
Well, I mean, you got The Rock, which, he's the #1 actor. Of course, a lot of talk lately about him losing all that weight. I
Yeah,
guess
what's that about?
couple reasons. I heard one, there was something with his heart was going on that you need to, you know, you're weighing
Ease
over
off the
300 pounds.
gas?
You're putting, what's that?
Ease off the gas? Get off.
I will, you know, I would imagine, yeah, he's on some primo, he was on some lot growth, a lot of good stuff because he got bigger when he got out of the business. And he
Yeah.
works hard and everything. But they say for a movie role, he lost like 60 pounds in 4 months or something like that.
Right.
It looked very, very small.
Supposedly, I that the Smashing Machine movie is going to have Dwayne Johnson in some Academy Award consideration because
Really?
of his
Wow.
portrayal of Mark
Yeah, I
Kirk.
heard it's a really, really good movie.
Yeah, I have
Got
to
to,
check it out.
yeah. So it'd be interesting to see.
When
But
you when you look at the timeline of weight loss, he gets away from WWE, then he starts to get real small. You don't think
mhm.
we're going to see him anytime soon, do you? I mean, he's not going to
Hmm.
come back looking skinny, right? Because that would be
No,
weird.
no, no, definitely. And I think that's one of the reasons why, because he was already. They say he was in the process of losing weight. That's why he wasn't at WrestleMania. I cannot see The Rock going to the ring weighing, what is he, 225, 230 pounds, which he's probably in real life still not small because he's a big guy, but he's
Right.
lost a lot of muscle mass. Well, I'm interested to see what he looks like in that movie, but Hollywood, everyone's going to look bigger anyhow, so he's not going to. It's going to be interesting to see, but I don't see him, just knowing how he is, he's not going to go on TV for wrestling not looking like The Rock, you know?
All right. So, how did these Hollywood guys lose all this weight? That's what I want to know. Is it the
Well, I
shot?
guess
Is
get
it
off the gas.
just get off
You're
the
gonna.
gas?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean,
I'd have to
and
get
this
on
is
the gas
all
first.
allegedly. I only could imagine what he was taking. I'm sure he was on, he was on tests, he was on growth hormone, so he probably got off all of that, and then
Yeah,
was probably doing a ton of cardio and just
sure.
dieting his ass off, and because he eats pretty clean all the time. So, um, but I put it this way: I saw my son. When he left college. He was 275 pounds, and within 6 months, he was down to, he was down to, 200 pounds just by eating good, eating clean,
Yeah,
running a lot. So I'm sure he's probably doing a lot of running. And he says, you know what? I feel better. He's like 210 right now, 205, 210. He says he feels better than he ever has in his life. None of his injuries. Had a lot of injuries. He said it feels great. His knees feel good. He can run 10 miles and all that. And I'm like, whew, I can't walk 10 feet, let alone, or 100 feet.
he's chasing down perps, running
Oh,
them
yeah.
down, chasing them down.
Yeah, I can't wait to go watch some of his body cam.
Yeah, we got to have a watch along party with that. Like, when can
Yeah.
that become public knowledge? I just want to
I
see him
guess I'm
pull
going to
some
have to
people
do a
over.
public Freedom of Information Act and a
That's
FOIL
right.
request. Can I have a FOIL request of some highlights of Chase Thompson's video?
We'll watch that. We'll watch along here on the show. We could do that. Next. All right. So wait a minute. Somebody gave me an idea before, and now I want to see if I can find it. Hold on. Because it was a good idea for like a future episode. And I think I'm just going to have to download it as a text. And
Oh,
then we'll
all
see.
the Wow, there's a
Yeah,
lot of comments today.
I know.
Is that 61 or 81?
I don't know.
Oh, I haven't
It's
even looked at them. That's why I have I didn't know until last week I could turn them on.
um. Oh, I know what it was.
61.
As far as being a draw, as far as
Mhm.
drawing money, um, we could focus on that, and we could talk everybody from Bugsy McGraw all the way through to the modern era.
Right.
Um, and at some point, things changed to where the promotion became the draw and the
Right.
stars, et cetera, et cetera. But you can never argue certain guys were draws and other guys were not draws.
Yeah, just look at their their contracts,
Yeah.
what their guarantee
Um,
were.
and, somebody like Kevin Nash, who was not a draw as a champion,
Hmm.
as Diesel, leaves, teams with Scott Hall, they go to WCW, and they're instant huge draws.
Yeah.
So it just depends on a lot of different circumstances, and time and place being everything.
Yeah.
We did always joke that Drew McIntyre was the worst drawing world champion because he was the champion during COVID when they didn't have live people. So
Wow. Yeah.
I know that was
They're
kind of rough.
they're they're wrestling to monitors setting up in the arena.
That was awful. All right, so what's on the plan for this week, Casey? Is it nose to the grindstone, working hard? Are you vacationing? What, you just got back from a weekend away?
Yeah, we're back at it trying to build the subscriber base for the podcast here. And have you noticed that there is so many everyone has a podcast now.
Yes.
Wrestling podcast. Like every WWE person, Cody has one, this person has one, this one has one. And um I don't know. I don't get it. I think what there's some of them
Here's,
that are good
by
out
the way,
there.
here's what it was: how to construct a promo.
Ah,
We can talk at great length about that. So we'll
yeah,
do that in terms of money drawing and how to construct a promo, how to build an angle, how to
yeah,
set everything in motion so that it does lead to box office.
yeah. So I think a lot of these podcasts, they just like talking to each other, and it's like there's no substance to it. No, you know, there are people are watching 10 hours of TV wrestling a week. Then they're gonna sit there and listen to two WWE people. Oh, what kind of coffee you have there? Oh, taste this coffee, this, that.
Yeah.
Come on. We're gonna give you we're going to tell you stuff that you've never seen or heard, behind the scenes stuff, from our eye, our perspective, not the
Right.
big universe pushing their agenda. We have no agenda here. So, and when we say it's unfiltered and raw, there's nothing more that's unfiltered and raw than this show right here.
Right. We
So,
don't. Yeah. We don't really
we
talk
don't
about
edit.
things ahead of time.
No,
The
no.
thing that I get a kick out of, Casey, is that when the podcasters fight each other. So like
Yeah.
now other podcasters are mad at Stevie Richards for what he said on his podcast about Kyle Fletcher, who wrestles in AEW.
Oh,
And it's like, it's a flavor of ice cream, boys.
yeah.
Stevie can
Yeah.
come with his point of view and his perspective, and I didn't listen to what Stevie said, and I didn't listen
Yeah.
to the critique of what Stevie said, but how can you say that anybody is wrong? Well, because he hasn't watched enough of it, he hasn't seen this or that. Whatever. It's his point of view.
Yeah.
And what we're talking about here is some opinion, but it's
Right.
opinion based around historical fact.
Yeah.
But I think where guys, some of it's a work, because I think they're kind of winking across the aisle at each other like, oh, I'll say this, and then you could say that. Oh, that's a good idea. And then we'll both draw an audience. both the podcasts that were fighting, the podcasters that were fighting with Stevie and Stevie himself, they have a bigger audience than us. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I like what we do. And I know
Sure.
our subscriber base is continuing to grow week by week, and it's organic.
Yeah.
We don't have a big machine pushing us.
No. No, there's 2 people, that's it.
That's it. That's it, my boy. All right. Well,
Yes,
we've done
sir.
an hour and 40 minutes, so I think we can
Wow.
wrap this one up.
Yes, sir. It's been a very interesting, we're in the mind of Meltzer tonight, so
Yes.
we're
We
Meltzer
gave you our
land,
thoughts on
so
Hall of Famers. We had some great comments, and next week we'll talk about how to build an angle to draw money, and how to construct a promo, and how to set the matches, and how things have worked historically, how they work today, and what you need to do. What you need to do to make money in this business, kid, is listen to us next week.
yeah, there you
And
go.
we'll just all I'm going to do is steal from everybody that I worked with, which is, I don't have an original idea. I just have ideas that have worked for other people. So
No one
let's
has
just
any
do that.
original ideals in wrestling. Everything's
No,
recycled, so
it was all old
the
stuff that,
people that draw the money are the ones who listen to the good ones.
yeah, exactly. Cornette would always say, well, we did this here. And I'm sure Pat Patterson, a lot of his finishes had been done before he had seen done,
Right.
or had come up with them originally, or somebody else had come up with them when he worked with Roy Shire, who knows when. But
Right.
that's what wrestling is. Wrestling is the
Yep.
art of duplication, and you just construct it for the people and the surroundings and the time. And if it
Exactly.
works, it works. There are certain
Yep.
things you must do. There are certain things you can never do. And then everything else is, it's hope and a prayer. But anyway, we'll talk about that in
There you
depth
go.
next week. We will, I'm sure, cross, as more news and information about this crazy industry. We didn't get back to our topic of Saudi Arabia, so we can put a pin in that. We can revisit that next week as more
Yeah.
comes out, and we'll see if they're going to do a date in the U.S. I have a feeling that they will have a WrestleMania, maybe night 2 or week 2 in the United States. Who knows? But we'll see.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody will have complaints.
Of course
Nope.
they will.
No
one
matter
can't
what.
make them all happy, and
That's it.
so.
All right. Well, Casey, thank you as always. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, everyone that's watching, subscribing, liking, sharing, telling you. As Blackjack I'm only gonna say, get your mama from the kitchen, your daddy from the grill, get the kids up in the pick 'em up truck, and hit that subscriber button.
There you go. All right. For Casey Thompson, I'm Kevin Kelly. We thank you very much for joining us for the In Ring Wrestling Podcast, and we will see you next week.